How's it going? Welcome back. My name is Jonathan, and in this video I thought we'd go ahead and take a look at the Bitcoin chart, have a look at the recent patterns that have been emerging, and we'll also take a look at a longer term scale to see where Bitcoin may be heading. Now, there's actually not a lot of new data that's actually come out onto the market if you look at it from a daily perspective since the last time I got this video out to you. So I'm just going to be giving you a quick update on what's currently happened. And then I may actually flick over to TradingView so we get some more live data analysis popped up on the chart. So that way we can actually go ahead and use this moving forward. Actually, scratch that. Instead of using TradingView, we'll go ahead and get the live data straight into Optima. I'll go ahead and change my chart over right now. BTC USD from CryptoWatch, and that'll give us a bit more data. I don't like to have the live data on my charts just so that I can actually analyze what's actually happened first before I take into account any bars that are currently forming. But just to save us from actually switching over to TradingView, we'll go ahead and chuck the live data in here right now, and you can actually see that the ticker's moving for the cryptocurrency market. So you would have seen the other day that we actually drew on, it was like a triangle-slash-pennant, and the formation of that triangle-slash-pennant sort of formed an angle like this. It was a bit tighter. Let me go ahead and make it really tight so we can actually gauge what's actually happened here. And I'll pop this one on properly. All right, so that blue line is actually what actually occurred. Now, we were waiting for 2 peaks and or a minimum of 2 troughs to actually go ahead before we could draw any patterns on, and that actually occurred. So if we go ahead and zoom in now and we get a closer look at what's actually happening here. With this pennant, as you can see, is if we take it along the lows that actually occurred here, so these lows here, we can see that Bitcoin broke below the pennant, but if we zoom in, let me switch back here, clear the screen. If we zoom in and we take a look at the actual close, we can see that the close is actually still above the pennant. So there was bias to push it up. And if we look at the market data right now, based on where we are today, at the time of recording, we can see that the market is pushing us back up into that pattern, which means until we get a solid break below, and I would say a complete close below the pattern, I would take everything that happens within this pattern right now with a grain of salt, pretty much because everyone on the planet is looking at it. So wait for a close before you make any rash decisions, and that would be my solid advice for this pattern right here. Now, there's been some other information going out about like an Elliott wave structure happening. So let me go ahead and get rid of that, switch on this drawing tool. Now, Elliott wave generally runs between 3 to 5 waves. So if we move down, we move up, we move down. A lot of people are saying that this could be an up move before we actually move down to get a final low around the 23 to 24,000 mark for the Elliott wave structure. Now, that's a possibility, but it's definitely not a guaranteed. So whilst the Elliott wave structure may come into play, I can't rule off anything to the downside until we get a clear break below this low. So this low here is where a lot of the whales actually added to their positions, and we actually need to be watching that very closely, because if they added to positions on this low, then that tells you that there's a lot of strength here and a lot of buy demand there. And if it comes down closer to that low again, then they could double up. If it goes below that low, then that means they've all lost out. And that also means that you've lost out unless you're buying in at a lower price, such as what occurred in the past. So for them to lose, that's not usually how they operate. They would generally operate with, a risk-reward sort of strategy. And if they're able to move the market, why would they move it against themselves? They're not trying to shake you out or anything like that. Very rarely do they sell at the bottom. And the point I'm trying to get at is, well, there's a lot of buy demand just right here. And if the market moves below that, then that means pretty much all the buy demand from institutions and everything since the start of the year would then be underwater. And with a lot of guys coming in right now, I don't think that's where they want to be. So just, take that with a grain of salt. On a monthly perspective, we look at the longer term charts, we can actually see that Bitcoin did come down. It did breach the 50% level, or the midpoint of the whole move, the whole range, the whole time frame that Bitcoin's been live, and we're currently above it. Still, that shows buy demand, and strength is a potential to the upside, more so than the downside. As always, if we go below this level, let me get get rid of that. If we go below that level and we actually close below it, then that's a signal that the next one to watch is obviously the 61.8% retracement level, which in this case would signal to you that more downside is on the cards. But if we look at that 61.8% level, definitely that rolls in with what a lot of the forecasts are on with respect to Elliott wave. So we're getting a lot of confluence and price clustering right here, where a lot of people are suggesting that this 23 to 24,000 mark is an area to be watching. So will it get to that 61.8% level? We have to wait and see. So I wouldn't be betting for it or against it right now, because this 50% level is still a strong level and we need to continue watching it. Regarding the Gann swing levels, we did make a lower high on the daily chart, which we know if we move over to the daily bar chart, we can definitely see that the highs are getting lower, but there's still potential for this to turn around. A double bottom down here would be ideal, though we have to wait and see. With respect to the weekly Gann swing chart, we definitely have a mass support level here, which is on the 50% level to the up move, which means that if the market does move up, we have a lot of resistance right now at the $45,000 mark, which is also very close to this low and this low over here, and also this top. So there could be a lot of resistance to the up move around here. That was a really bad drawing, but I hope you're getting what I'm trying to get at. Regarding the Kagi chart, we're still getting swings lower, so there's no buy signal presented on the Kagi chart. And with the Kagi chart, we now have a lower area that we're watching. So I'm going to go ahead and move this down. Any break above here, based on the Kagi rules, would then be somewhat bullish based on the Kagi chart rules, okay? Still, there's no definable pattern that I would draw here, which is something to be watching just at the moment. I think at the moment we're in a period of time where we just need to just sit and wait for the accumulation or distribution to run out. Now, I know that there's not a lot of, I guess, hopium or on the flip side of that, so sort of dooms commentary that I'm putting towards Bitcoin. We're primarily just moving sideways. And while we're just moving sideways, we need to find out who's buying and who's selling. And if it's the institutions that are buying and the retailers that are selling, that's good for us. If it's the retailers that are buying and the institutions that are selling, well, on the flip side, that's bad for us. One thing we do know, if we look at any metrics and any of the news that's coming out, is a lot of the institutions are looking to enter this space, and they would much rather enter around the $30,000 mark than they did at the $60,000 mark. Now, a lot of people say, oh, the institutions control the market, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You got to remember that the institutions use our money. So when you buy ETFs or when you buy into managed funds and these guys are buying into Bitcoin, they're not using their money most of the time. They're using our money to move into the market. So they're trying to get a return, not for themselves, but also for their client base. And those client bases may be like rich and famous people and things like that, but it's actually our money that they're using. So at the end of the day, they want to do well by their clients, and they don't, of course, they're going to get the paychecks and the bonuses at the end of the year, and good for them. You know, we want everyone to be succeeding. But there is going to be some losers and there is going to be some winners. It depends on what side of the fence that you want to be on. So try to just remember that the whole world is not against you, and not everyone is trying to make you lose in this market. If you can move with the market, you're going to be better off than trying to bet against it. So if we move up, you move up. If it moves down, well, you look at either shorting, if that's the position you're in, or you look to exit your positions or do what everyone in this world does, and that's hodl. So that's all I have. I just wanted to give you a quick update that still we're waiting, especially on the daily chart, for our anticipated turn dates around the 6th to the 8th. If we pitch a lower top here on the 6th, 7th, 8th, and we start to move down, I would say that we're possibly moving down until around mid to third quarter of the month. So that's something to be watching for. But if we can move up and then we move down into the 8th, then there's a very high chance that we could be moving up. Again, that's all hypothetical situations. We don't actually know what's going to happen. So we play it day by day right now, and we see how the market structure starts to form, and then we can get an idea on what's going to happen. I'll leave that with you. You make whatever you want out of that, and I'll talk to you soon.